All right. Good morning, everybody. I apologise to cricket lovers in the room. I know that just down the road at the Oval, something rather important is going on. But we think week 3 of our Lawless Britain campaign is quite important too. I definitely think that we've caught the mood of the country with this campaign. All sorts of arguments over statistics, but what is beyond doubt is that there is a very strong and growing perception in the country that something is wrong all the way through, from policing on the streets, right through the courts and all the way to the prison system. For us, one of the good things has been the number of new people that we've managed to attract to the campaign, a couple of whom will be joining us, or are joining us today. There is certainly rising public anger out there in the country. As you can see, the number of protests that are taking place outside migrant hotels up and down the country is indeed evidence of that. And increasingly, the migrant hotel issue has moved really from one of fairness, why on earth have people been given all these things, to very much about the safety of women and children. For all the government's talk about protecting children, which they claim is the sole purpose of the Online Safety Act, our criticisms of that and the impositions on free speech that have been imposed just in the first week of its operation have led to them sinking to the depths. I would suggest that comparisons that somehow we're siding with Jimmy Savile were wholly inappropriate at every way. But what we will today be talking about is a cover-up. A cover-up that in many ways is reminiscent of what happened after the Southport killings last year. I will say to all broadcasters when we get to this segment of today's press conference, nothing we say will in any way be in contempt of court. And indeed, to quote Jonathan Hall KC, who is the independent reviewer of terrorism legislation, he said in the wake of Southport that we should spell out the basic and sober facts. And that's exactly what we will do today. But before we get to that segment, I want to introduce you to some people that have joined us and are joining our campaign. Rupert Matthews is the Police and Crime Commissioner for Leicestershire. Formerly, he served in the European Parliament as a member there. He's twice been elected as a Conservative, but today he comes across to us as our first Police and Crime Commissioner. Rupert.
Thank you.
And welcome on board.
Thank you. Well, morning everyone. Now, I've known Nigel off and on for several years, so I asked him what he wanted me to say to you all today. Great man that he is, he said, you can say anything you like, he said, so long as you tell them why you're joining Reform. So here goes. I joined the Conservative Party in 1984, that's over 40 years ago. I joined a Conservative Party that was putting Britain first, that put the British people first, and that championed freedom. The economic decline of the 1970s was overturned, the Falklands were liberated. But now our great country faces new challenges and new dangers. As Police and Crime Commissioner for Leicestershire and Rutland, I daily face the fight against crime. I see ordinary, hard-working people burgled, robbed and mugged. Shoplifting is getting out of control. Antisocial behaviour is turning too many of our town centres into an apocalyptic wasteland of lawless Britain. Now, I've got nothing but admiration for our police officers and PCSOs. They're doing a fantastic job, but they're fighting crime with one hand tied behind their back. The courts impose sentences that too often are derisory. And Labour's early release scheme means that crooks are back out after serving a fraction of their time in prison. And that's all because our prisons are full. They're full of foreign criminals who should be deported the day they are convicted, not kept here at the expense of British taxpayers. It's no wonder that criminals do not fear the justice system, no wonder that the law-abiding